3 books, an entire series, because I figured it'd be a lot easier for you guys to watch one video rather than 3. So we're going to be talking about the Hex Hall series by Rachel Hawkins, and here are the 3 books. The first one is Hex Hall. I love the covers, they are so cute. So it's the same girl in all the covers, and it's just, she's in a uniform and in a green dress, and there's a cat, even though there's no cat in the series. The second book is called Demon Glass. It looks like that, and it's orange on the bottom. Look at it, it's so funky. And then the third book is called Spellbound, and it looks like this. And it's purple on the bottom. And they're all really cool. I own this one, and I got the other 2 from the library, which is why they're kind of shiny and they have those green things on the top, because they're from my local library. And yes, it's a great series. So we're going to start out with the first one, and they'll follow the same characters. Well, almost all the same characters, and they follow the story progression of a girl named Sophie Mercer, who is a witch. She has moved around with her mother, and it's just her and her mother. She's never met her father. She's only had limited contact with him. So she lives with her mother in the United States, and they move around a lot because people find out that she's a witch, so they end up moving. And now she has kind of put herself really out there, and it's almost like her last straw. So now she's moved to a new school in a new place. It's in Georgia, and it is called Hex Hall or Hectate Hall, and it is a kind of like a reform school for prodigium, which is what they call the supernaturals of their species. There's a whole bunch. There's witches, there are werewolves, there are shapeshifters, which can pretty much turn into whatever animal. There are fairies, and there are vampires, although vampires really aren't included in the prodigium. The other ones, they talk about them being like derived from angels, whereas vampires, they were just made. So she goes to a school with all of these people who performed really powerful either spells or have done something to get themselves into that school. And they are stuck there until they are 18. And Sophie at this time is 16, so she's stuck there for 2 years. Fun! So when she gets there, she finds out that her roommate, whose name is Jenna, is a vampire, and one of the only vampires at the school. The other one is a teacher. His name is Lord Brian, I believe, or something. It's not even a big character, so it doesn't matter. And vampires are the only supernaturals that can live forever. And fairies do have wings. I just thought I'd mention that right now, but they use a glamour or some kind of super powerful spell to make all like humans around them think that they are human too. So, yeah. So Sophie Mercer is a witch. She is very powerful witch, and there are 2 kinds, white witch and a black witch, and she is classified as a black witch, which is more powerful than a white witch. And so she goes to the school and she meets some others who are like the 3 popular girls, Elodie, Chasten, and Anna, I believe. Anna really isn't that important. And as soon as she gets there, she finds out that there has been a murder at the school. And it's a girl named Holly who was found in a bathtub with 2 holes in her neck, so obviously indicating it was a vampire, but they don't think that's her. So, as the book unfolds, and I don't want to make this too long, she meets this guy named Archer Cross, and he's actually dating Elodie, like the leader of the popular group, who's also a black witch. He is also a witch, or a warlock, as they like to be called. And Sophie kind of falls in love with him. So as the story unravels, they kind of have this relationship where they're both sent to detention for a semester long, and they have to clean out the cellar of the school, which is like a huge storage room with shelves and magical objects. And the thing about it is they all move around, so they're stuck there pretty much forever. And the entire time they're at the school, they're learning about bad things that are happening within the prodigium world, how there are certain societies known as the Brannics, I believe that's how you pronounce it, and the Loki, it's a Latin word, but it's essentially the Eye, and it's like a giant anti-prodigium group where they try to go out and they kill them all. And so they're learning all about that, and Sophie and Archer's one cellar session gets really heated up and they end up making out. Nothing too bad, but she goes to grab for his t-shirt and he reveals like this little tattoo on his chest that is the symbol of the Eye, so essentially he is a part of the Eye. And so he escapes, and that is the entire drama of the school. He escapes, and there's a girl dead, and there's another girl. Or actually, is it 2? I think it's two. Yeah, there's two girls, Anna and Shaston, the two other friends. They also were found in other ways with 2 holes in their neck, almost completely drained of blood. One was in a bathtub and the other was in like a hallway, but they both lived and they were fine. Second book. Yeah, that is the first one. It was really good. Good read. Definitely got me interested in the second one. The second one takes place at the beginning or almost a year later. After all the accidents happened in the first book, and it starts out with her meeting her father, who she has never met before. He is a very powerful warlock that you don't find out. Oh, I forgot to mention something about the first book. She meets this girl, a ghost, whose name is April? No. Something along those lines. It starts with like an A. I can't remember. Why can't I remember? I don't know. She is a demon who's been brought back to life. And so she's been learning from her, but doesn't know that she's a demon. And as it turns out, she ends up killing her with this powerful stuff called demon glass, which is what this one is called. And demon glass is like almost like solid mercury, and it kills demons, very harmful on them. Turns out that this demon is actually her great-grandmother, so she is technically a demon and not a dark witch. That is where this one starts off. She meets her father, who is also a demon. She's 4th generation, he's 3rd. So her powers are kind of weaker than his, but she's still a demon. So she wants to go through the removal, which is where Prodigium can get rid of their powers or whatever magical things that they have. So she decides to do that, but her parents won't let her, or who her mom is kind of now at the school with them. So her father decides, hey, I'm going to take you back to England or London, where the Prodigium base camp and like the council is. The council is essentially like the government for Prodigium. So he takes her back there, and things are pretty interesting there. She meets a couple of other demons who she didn't think there were any others, but apparently there were. And apparently there's like a really big spell that you can use to create demons. And so as the story unfolds, you find out that the head mistress, or whatever you want to call her, like the principal of Hex Hall, and her dad's assistant are sisters. Their last name is Kazanoff, and their father used to be the head of the council, which he gave the position to Sophie's dad. So now he's head of council, so he's like the king of Prodigium, and that makes her the princess. Ha 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 ha. So what happens is she learns all of this amazing stuff about Prodigium that she never thought that she could learn beforehand, and that kind of changes her mind about the removal. But she sees Archer Cross again, who escaped, who had like the little eye tattoo, and they kind of get together, even though she's already prearranged to be married, which is a Prodigium or a witch and warlock thing, and it's actually the groundskeeper of Hex Hall who comes with them. Same with Jenna. They go to England with Soph, and they have a great time. Except at the ending, they find out that Archer Cross is there. They take him, the father, Sophie. Jenna somehow escapes, and the 2 sisters, the Kazanoffs, burn down the building that they were all staying in. Her dad got put through the removal because of their actions, because he unlocked the big book that the spell was in, and that's illegal. And then Sophie almost got her powers drained, but she escaped. Haha, awesome. And the Archer Cross, we don't really know about him until the 3rd book, so that's great. Also, Elodie, the mean witch, part of like the popular group, died in the 1st book. I forgot to mention that. Oh well, and her ghost is following Sophie because they're somehow bonded because Elodie gave her magic to Sophie at the end of the 1st book. But that's not really important until the 3rd book comes along. In the 3rd book, Sophie is she starts off very disorientated. She doesn't know where she is, and it turns out that in the end of the last book, Cal, who's the groundskeeper, who is also her fiance, told her to go to the Brennecks, which is the ex-Prodigium clan, and he said that her mother is there. So she goes, and she actually finds out that her mother is a Brannock, and so she is half anti-Prodigium, half demon. It's kind of funny the way that it turns out. So she stays there and she gets healthy because it turns out that the way that she traveled there through magic, it didn't really turn out so well. She was out for like 17 days or something along those lines. So she's there. They help rebuild her strength. And all in all, what happens is she gets pulled back to the school by the two sisters who are now running it. They try to make it as normal as possible, but now they're turning all the children into demons. That's their plan, to make a huge demon army so they can fight off whatever. And yeah, fun times. So she's there, she got called back, and nobody can do magic because there's like a giant spell over top of the school. So what she ends up doing is Elodie, the ghost, who is really important in this book, can take over Sophie's body and do magic, like her own magic, instead of Sophie's magic. So it's not as strong as Sophie's, but at least somebody can still do magic, which is awesome. And she's able to sneak into a whole bunch of places. They just get kind of creepy. One thing is they find a dungeon cellar underneath the cellar, which is blocked by a super strong, powerful spell. They go down there and they find a room of essentially frozen kids. It's kind of weird, but the two demons that she meets at, or Sophie meets at the big place in London, are down there, who were created by the two sisters, as well as the two girls who got harmed at the school, Anna and Chasten. They're both down there too, so they're both demons, which kind of sucks for them. So, all in all, what happens is it's super complicated and long to get to this point, but all Sophie has to do is, she doesn't have any powers because they're blocked because of her ending of the final book, or like the last book, the second book. So when her dad got this giant spell, the grimoire, the spell book, she had to touch a spell and it was like a protection spell. So she still has her powers, she just can't use them. So she has to go and actually touch the book again, which the sisters have, and that was a hassle and a half to go do that. But when she does have her powers back, she ends up defeating the sisters. They both have to fall into the pit that they were creating the demons in. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. They have to fall into that pit, or not fall, somehow get there. They also have to have the original spell with them, and they have to be in the original pit. So Sophie is able to kind of like banish them, but it turns out Cal falls in there with Sophie. Well, he jumps in there after she falls in, because she falls in. He wants to save her. So he ends up dying, and so do the two sisters. And then all the demons can be returned back into humans. That's how you originally do it, or that's how you can do it. So she ends up doing that. Cal dies. In the end, the council, who is like the government, offers Sophie the position to be head of council, because there's this giant, never mind, it's gossip about the council, about how her father died, but he wasn't actually dead. So she is now head of council, but two of her main goals were to open up Hex Hall again, and she wants to be a student there and finish school, like human school, and they agreed with that. So now Hex Hall is open, and Archer is her boyfriend, and Jenna is going back to school with her. So it was a great series. I didn't get into too much detail about all the books, although I think I got in enough, so this is a long enough video. If you enjoy kind of like supernatural series, I don't like a lot of like really dark books. I like them with a little bit of romance, a little bit. Maybe you see my Twilight series right there. But yeah, it was a really great series. If you like, I just said it, not really heavy magical series. I know a lot of people don't like reading about vampires because they're way overdone, I think, in literature. Same with like werewolves. I don't like reading about werewolves, but this was centered around witches, which I thought was really interesting. Witch, ha 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 ha. So go check them out, maybe at your local library, or if you have them on your bookshelf, definitely read them because they are great. And if you don't want to read it, don't. But I don't think I actually wrote reviews about all of them, but I will now. There should be reviews up on my Goodreads, which I will link down below. I will also link to my blog, which I'm so far behind on, but I'll still link it anyways. And yeah, I hope you guys had a great Sunday, and I hope you have a great next week reading. I think I'm going to take a break from reading for at least 1 week because school is getting really really heavy. I mean, I'm in university now. I need to start doing some actual work. So I think what I'm going to do is do a book collection of all my books, and maybe you can see I'm sitting in a different spot. I'm actually sitting on the floor today, which is weird. Like, I normally film from those two shelves up there, but now I'm down to my bottom two shelves. So yeah. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next week with a book collection video. Bye!